successful against the European in this century, or in the last century, because we're in a new one right now. Rule number one, the information strategy against black people. Overwhelm black people with insignificant and useless information. They are particularly attracted to conspiracy theories. Be sure to mix accurate and inaccurate information together to keep their faith. Don't be concerned about the threat this poses, as we are the ones in control, and thusly we can alter our tactics as necessary. The fact that they know our strategy means nothing, because they have no idea of the tactics which we can change at a second's notice. And you wonder why you got every Alex Jones book and we still in the situation we in. You wonder why you don't watch every conspiratorial DVD and black folks still in the situation you in. By the time the DVD was made, his whole chessboard changed pieces. He's always 10 steps ahead of you. The only way you can be on the same page that he's on is to have a spy inside of his inner circle. And white supremacy is not that weak to allow a spy inside of their inner circle. We are, though. And that's why most of our leaders have been taken down by who? Their right-hand man. And we're going to talk about the right-hand man in Black history. Let's talk about rule number two, the one-man, one-vote strategy. Brothers and sisters, just because you have the right to vote does not mean you have power. Just because you have the right to vote does not mean you have equality. Just because you have the right to vote doesn't mean a damn thing if you don't have development. You notice how whenever the European goes into Africa, the first thing he pushes is what? Democracy. Why doesn't he push development? Because he's confusing you to make you think that one equals the other. And he's handpicking every candidate that you've ever voted for. Democracy means nothing without development. In fact, we don't even need a damn democracy. What we need is righteous leadership. How many African kings and kingdoms existed for millions of years without no social unrest, from the grassroots level? Because the people were content with the leadership. Listen to me. Listen to me well. You don't need to be looking for democracy. You don't need to be looking for socialism. You don't need to be looking for communism. You need to be looking for an aristocracy. What we need is the rule of righteousness. That's where we're deficient at. Are y'all following me? It doesn't matter what governmental system that you put in charge of us. If the person in charge is an unrighteous Negro, it will fall overnight. Because the one thing we got to build with each other is trust. That's that invisible cultural glue that holds the people together. And we don't have that. So stop falling for the democracy trick. Let's talk about confusion. Half of you in here are falling victim to the confusion strategy. Be sure to provide assistance to blacks while you are destroying the blacks. Let me say that again. I got a not-for-profit corporation. I got an after-school grant. I got a 501c3. And Brother Polight had already told you earlier that once you get a 501c3, your hands are tied and you cannot participate in political activity. Guess who created the 501c3? The Rockefeller dynasty. Why did they create it? Because their political scientists said that if you finance the same people you're destroying, you'll be able to destroy them quietly. How many of you got not-for-profit organizations getting grants from the city, state, or federal government, and that same money, the same person giving you the money is gentrifying Harlem, pushing black people out of Brooklyn? You being financed by the same person who's financing our extermination. Stop being greedy for the white man's greenery. Every act of aggression on our part must be followed up by an act of compassion. This will confuse the victims and will lead them to believe that there are actually different kinds of white people. Because they are suckers for humanitarian acts of grace, you can keep their faith and kill them at the same time. This is how Africa was taken. Have you not read Chancellor Williams' Destruction of African Civilization? They came in with Bibles. They came in with Qurans. They came in with all types of books. The missionaries are the handmaidens of the military. They always finance before they kill. So we got to do what? Stop being so greedy. Because whatever the white man does, we like to outdo him. If he's a capitalist, we want to be super capitalists. And if he's a pedophile, some of us want to be super pedophiles. This pedophilia situation is getting ridiculous, black people. And I got some news for you that you need to learn. Just like I taught you that in 1972, 73, they voted to take homosexuality out of the DSM, the diagnostic manual that we use in psychology and psychiatry. Homosexuality was in that book until 1974, the April of 74, the 6th printing. They made homosexuality legal so they could use it to do what? Populate, exterminate African people. Stop falling for the nature versus nurture war. Homosexuality is about reducing our numbers. If everybody in this auditorium decides to only cohabitate with somebody with the same gender that you are, if everybody in here only has sex with their same gender, where would the next generation of African babies come from? This is racial extermination. When I told people that the homosexual curriculum would come into the public schools 5 years ago, they said I was a conspiracy theorist. 3 months ago, what did California do? Pass the nation's first mandatory homosexual curriculum. New York City schools are infusing it right now in its social studies curriculum. Most of the other states around this nation are preparing to teach your 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd grade babies that they have a choice to live as a man or live as a woman. Let me give you some other current news. Listen to me because you heard it from my mouth. So when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Listen to me right now. The new DSM, the new Diagnostic Manual of Mental Health, will be coming out in March of 2013. There is a special task committee of the American Psychiatric Association who are actively fighting to remove the diagnosis of pedophilia out of the book. If they are successful, in March of 2013, it will no longer be considered a mental disease to want to have sex with people before the age of puberty. But the problem is what? We spending all our Christmas money on iPods. The problem is what? We spending all our Kwanzaa money on video games. Do you know that you can take your money that you're spending on Christmas gifts and build an independent black school for every African child in this country? You can do it today. You can do it tomorrow. The late, great Dr. Amos Wilson, in whose image I come. The late, great Dr. Amos Wilson, in whose image I come. Fellow Goriite psychologist said what? Before we can build economically, we got to build unitarily. Because until we see ourselves as one unit, we will never support each other's economic initiatives. And so that's why before we build the economics that Brother Polight is talking about, I got to build a psychoeconomics. I got to build the desire for you to want to spend with each other. The desire for you to want to live with each other. The desire for you to want to build schools for your children. We know this one all too well. The infiltration strategy. You must always find a black person amongst them that you can trust for critical information. You need not always entice them with money because sometimes their petty jealousies and the opportunities for revenge is enough ammunition to secure a snitch. This tactic is very useful, especially when your research reveals former lovers of their men and former lovers of their revolutionary women. Many of their women will be willing to destroy their men without a need for payment. And it goes the other way around with the sisters. White supremacists know that the best ally that they can ever have in a political military struggle against black men is his queen. And sisters, they also know that the best weapon they can have against you is your king. Watch who you sleeping with. Make sure they committed to this struggle. And on the terms of relationships, I want you to start going on a relationship fast. When one relationship is over, you need time to heal your womb, black women. When one relationship is over, black men, you need time to heal your organs. Because every time you let some of life's fluid out of your body, black man, you just decrease your life energy by 5%. And if you keep on busting, you're gonna bust your ass right into a graveyard. There's rules to this. There's rules to this. There's sexual rules, there's mating laws, reproductive laws. You see a brother 21 years old and you're looking 81, you know what he's doing. Draining his fluids to death. Sister, draining your fluid to death. Did you know that your vagina is nothing but a back door to your unconscious mind? And when you allow him to stir up your unconscious mind, he stirs up all those negative memories that you don't like thinking about, and that's why you tend to hate him 5 minutes after you laid with him. The mistrust strategy. Never underestimate the need for blacks to fight one another as a means of discharging their anger. Black leaders often have the same rage and impatience as blacks in the street. We must use the same strategy we use to induce mass homicide to bring about the destruction of black militancy. J. Edgar Hoover used this strategy effectively for 50 years to keep a lid on black insurrection. Use their natural distrust for each other by instigating and highlighting differences. Have your black agents start rumors and then get out of the way and watch them fighting ass niggas self-destruct.